It's very, very interesting. We're live from New York. There's a shot of Times Square if you're watching on the AFA channel. If you're listening by way of radio, it's very interesting. You should see it. But you look at all those people, and you look at them going through their day-to-day life here in New York City, and they're just, they're so busy. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to pay their taxes. They're trying to do those things that we all try to do if we care about this country and desire to be decent citizens. And here we have the government collecting this amount of information, putting it in one central data hub, with the only explanation that they are giving us. And let me put it to you quite bluntly. They said, John Fund in his article at National Review said very simply, this was what Orrin Hatch wrote to Secretary Sebelius last month in a letter from the Senate to HHS. The senator said, the standards proposed by your department could result in a convicted felon receiving federal dollars to gain access to confidential taxpayer information. That's how well guarded the data hub is scheduled to be, according to the current standards listed in the Obamacare legislation. That you could potentially have people with criminal backgrounds, a former convicted felon, getting paid federal money to go in and goof around with your records, confidential taxpayer information. And the senator's letter to HHS said the same standards allow any individual who has registered with the exchange and completed 2 days of training to facilitate enrollment, as if the decision to purchase health insurance is similar to the decision of registering to vote. Friends, your senators need to hear from you at 202-224-3121, and you need to ask them to 86 this whole healthcare data hub. Everything from your voter registration, your citizenship status, your income tax information, everything that whatever other data that they can put in there from the different stretches and regions of your life, now all in one central searchable database. Something like this is a powerful tool. It can be used in very nefarious ways. As if Brooke didn't make that argument well enough on her own, I'm just reiterating it. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Your reaction to this. And you know what's interesting? And I just have to point this out. We have gotten really obsessed with getting Americans information on everything. Eric Holder had to spy on the entirety of the Associated Press, and he had to lie before the FISA court to get the search warrant on James Rosen. But we still have not arrested the 5 terrorists that we know were involved in the attack on Benghazi. What are we using our ability to collect information on? What kind of results are we demonstrating by use of that technology? Is it for American good? Is it for the welfare of our citizens? And if so, how is it that terrorists are still walking free while we are debating on whether or not we should compile every single American's data into one place? This seems excruciatingly dangerous to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking at it from the wrong side of the situation. I'm not sure. 888. I'm not a law professor. I don't have the president's luxury of being able to evaluate it from every side possible. I'm just telling you what it looks like to me, and what Brooks spent 2 segments of this show laying out for us. TheLawfareProject.org if you want more information. Let's go to the phones. Kenneth is calling from Texas. Kenneth, welcome. You're on AFA Today. I appreciate you being here, sir. Hi.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call. Well, let me complete my thought here, and then I'll just let you say whatever. But let me tell you where I believe this is going and why I'm saying that. This weekend I went to a gun show, and I tried to purchase a firearm. I've never been in trouble. The FBI turned me down. I'm always calling y'all. I always call the Capitol switchboard. I'm never mean or unruly, but I always express my feelings and my opinion and support the Constitution. I'm against abortion. I'm against special gay rights, or homosexual rights, excuse me. I'm not against anybody not having rights, but I'm against special rights for anyone. Everybody should be the same. I cannot help but think that because of my calling, y'all and the switchboard and what I do, that they have put me on their list that I'm a domestic terrorist. I don't know why they would turn me down for a firearm other than that.
You don't have a criminal record of any sort?
No.
And you don't have a record of... Wow, that is amazing.
I have bought several firearms in the past, like up to... The last one I purchased was about 7 years ago because it was when me and my wife got married. But I can't see any other reason than that. We're already starting to see them use this against us. And if they're getting records from the cell phone companies, what are they doing about when we're calling the Capitol switchboard? Is my question.
Well, that's a very interesting question, Kenneth. And it's 6 months ago, I would have been a little bit like, okay, you're just being a little conspiratorial. After all of the scandals, I'm pretty much with you. Look, if they have the ability to tap all of the Verizon phone lines and say, we're going to gather every piece of information, including the encrypted calls themselves, and we're going to own that information. If Kenneth's a Verizon subscriber, all they have to do is just ping his number and his name and just see if it comes up. Oh, yeah, he calls the switchboard all the time. He calls a conservative representative of Congress. Oh, yes, he calls the American Family Radio Network. Oh, yes, he speaks out on this and that. If you call Planned Parenthood a lot, you're probably someone who's seeking services. You probably go there. You're probably okay to the left. But if you call a crisis pregnancy center on a regular basis, you might be a bit of a problem. Even the metadata is too much information, in my opinion. But the fact that the metadata is only the tip of the iceberg, just on the NSA spying, that they have the encrypted calls, they could choose to listen to them anytime they want to and justify it through this third-party doctrine that Brooke laid out. This is why I had to have her on the show today, friends. You've been distracted by the George Zimmerman trial. You've been told a bunch of stuff that it was maybe entertaining for a brief period of time, not important. This stuff is real. The stuff that the government is attempting to accomplish, this counts. That's why we must address it. And again, the newsletter, the complimentary newsletter that they make available at the Lawfare Project is thelawfareproject.org. They are a nonprofit group. They don't get a penny off of this. This is what they're doing to save America. 888-589-8840. Let's keep with the phone calls because there's a lot of you that want to weigh in. Let's talk to CC calling from Tupelo, Mississippi. CC, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough on AFA Today. Hi.
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate your call.
Yes, sir. My comment is basically this. If they're doing all this gathering of our data at such an accelerated rate, what's keeping them from using that to profile us and keep tabs on us so bad that just because, man A, B, and C are in the same area, and because man B has, a gun and he's a certain religion and they know it because they got the data from his websites and all this stuff, they go after him whenever it might have been, Guy D who doesn't even have a cell phone, but they're looking for a scapegoat, so they go after the guy who's, a particular religion, happens to believe in the Second Amendment and things like that. And that's basically my comment.
Well, that's the point that I think everyone is concerned about. Once you have this information on everybody that's there, you have more control and more power than everybody else. Think about it. If they can do that to every single person, then they can control the speech and the movements of even people in Congress. I mean, you can literally you could be quite intimidating if you have access to everyone's private data. So if this is the Health and Human Services, which is part of the executive branch, which is connected to the Justice Department, which is the law enforcement, if you have the TSA building up its stockpile of weapons, I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but there's an assessment of this of all of these stories in my mind that's been missed by the media. And when you begin to put it all together, the potential of whatever executive branch is in power can do begins to be quite overwhelming. Let's go back to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's talk to Dave in Houston. Hi, Dave. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough on AFA Today.
Hi. I sell laboratory and hospital equipment, and for us to go into a hospital, we have to go through training for HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability Act. And this law is now in total violation of that, what they're trying to do.
How so?
HIPAA says that there's privacy. And for me to go in, what I've got to go through is training so that if I go into a laboratory and see somebody's records, the person who has made those records visible could be in trouble, and me. That HIPAA law created privacy. And anybody who's selling anything within a hospital has to go through all kinds of training, and we have to
abide
sure
by
that
it.
we keep our eyes off of it, or we could be banned from the facility. This law changes all that. It gives the government or anybody who wants to have that information a way around the HIPAA law.
Yeah,
So
there's no doubt about that, Dave. And what's worse about it is you don't have to be a respectable pharmaceutical salesperson to go around the law now. Now you can just be a common criminal with no background check, getting paid a federal salary to snoop through it, because those people are being called patient navigators. They're the ones that are connecting people with the potential services of what they need through Obamacare. But in order to assign services to the right person, they got to get all of the treasure trove of the info in there. And then you have the Justice Department, the Health and Human Services, the Pentagon, Border Patrol. You've got everybody possible with their thumb in this pie and probably accessible to the database. And again, I asked this question of Brooke: what if a nefarious president just stocks all of the lower level entry people with his people? But what if you have everyone on that payroll that's working for you? The degree of manipulation that you could use to exploit people's information, and information is power. 888-589-8840. This is a blockbuster bit of news today, and I hope that you will not just sit there and listen to it and go, "Oh yeah, well, it's kind of important that we know." No. You need to take action. You need to call your senator and your congressman. You need to point them to the article that I've got listed on afatoday.com. Go to afatoday.com. That's the AFA Today Facebook page. This article from Brooke Goldstein on the Lawfare Project and the use of the NSA spying, the third-party issue, but then also the article about Obamacare and its degree of vulnerability. I've got both articles linked at afatoday.com. Go and take a look at them. And then forward them to your senator and your congressman, because I'll guarantee you most of them have not read these stories today. But I am sure grateful for what Lawfare Project is doing. They're keeping us informed on these important issues. Let's go to Vernon in Mississippi. Vernon, you're up next on AFA Today with Kevin McCullough. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
To begin with, I just want to say, what in the world is America doing voting for somebody with a name like Barack Hussein Obama? Really, they're fighting them folks. You don't let the enemy creep in the back door. And that's exactly what we've done. America has just thrown away everything that men and women have fought and died for years. And you know what? If we don't stand up, I pray that it don't happen, but if we don't stand up and start taking back our rights and taking care of our children, and calling a spade where it's at, we're going to have some bad problems.
All right, Vernon, I think that's the general consensus of most everybody that weighed in today. Kevin McCullough, if you missed any part of this broadcast, go to afr.net and watch it again, listen to it again. Forward the podcast to your friends. What Brooke told us about today is just too important for us to ignore, and I hope and pray that you will pay attention, spread the word, and talk to your elected representatives. I'm Kevin McCullough. The phone number to the Capitol again, 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. I'm Kevin McCullough. We'll be back tomorrow here on AFA Today. Stay with us on AFR Talk because Brian Fisher and Focal Point is next.